a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Let's get started. Our top focus tonight on Gravitas is on Operation Sindoor carried out by India as India avenges the brutal Pahalgam terror attack through military strikes on 9 targets in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. We tell you all that you need to know. India has stressed that these actions were measured, non-escalatory, proportionate and responsible, and that they focused on dismantling terrorist infrastructure. We get you the complete picture from the strong message sent out by India to the nature of the operation, the symbolism, the impact. How was the operation carried out and what happens now? What could the next 48 hours look like? What have the reactions been like? All this and more coming your way.
ये नुकसान ये 9 नंबर
All the targets were neutralized with clinical efficiency.
हमने जो लक्ष्य तय किए थे उन्हें ठीक तरह तय योजना के अनुसार सटीकता से उन्होंने ध्वस्त किया।
Today, India has not only avenged the Pahalgam massacre, it has avenged a history of terror. For decades, India has endured the brunt of cross-border terrorism from Pakistan, from the bloodshed of 26/11 to the carnage in Pulwama and the horror in Pahalgam. The masterminds behind these horrors operated with impunity, shielded and empowered by the Pakistani state. Today, that changed. In its most expansive and technologically advanced anti-terror mission to date, Indian armed forces launched 24 missile strikes on 9 key terror sites in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. This was not just retaliation for the recent Pahalgam terror attack. This was a message. India will no longer strike at the fringes. The architects of terror are now the targets. Here's what we mean. You see, this is not the first time India has responded to terror with force. After the Uri attack in 2016, India carried out its first surgical strike, targeting terror launch pads in Pakistan. Following the Pulwama attack in 2019, India hit terror training camps in Balakot. This time, India has struck the terrorist headquarters. Operation Sindoor was different in both strategy and scale. For the first time, India directly targeted terror headquarters. Operation Sindoor was expansive, precise, deeply symbolic. Key targets included infrastructure belonging to Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba, the 2 groups responsible for the most devastating attacks on Indian soil over the past 30 years. Several of the targeted camps were identified as launching grounds for recent infiltration attempts along the line of control. Among the key targets was Bahawalpur, the nerve center of the Jaish-e-Mohammed led by Masood Azhar, the same man behind the 2001 Indian Parliament attack, the 2016 Pathankot attack, and most recently, the 2019 Pulwama attack. In a statement, Azhar claimed that 10 members of his family and 4 close aides have been killed in the strike on Jamia Masjid Subhan Allah that was identified as Jaish's headquarters in Bahawalpur. The next key target was Muridke, the home of Hafiz Saeed, mastermind of the 2008 Mumbai attacks. Muridke houses the Markaz-e-Taiba, Lashkar-e-Taiba's ideological and operational headquarters, camouflaged under the guise of charity organization called Jamaat-ud-Dawa. Spread over 200 acres, it is considered one of the largest terror facilities in the world. It has served as the training ground for Ajmal Kasab and others involved in the 26/11 Mumbai terror attack. Although banned and grey-listed by the FATF, it has continued operating with support from Pakistan's establishment. Today it was hit. These strikes were not just retribution, they represent a new doctrine. India aimed not merely to respond, but to degrade, dismantle the logistical ecosystem of terror on Pakistani soil. According to reports, clear intelligence linked the Pakistan Army's logistical support to the functioning of these terror outfits. And Operation Sindoor, well, it just exposed Pakistan's complicity and disrupted this deeply entrenched nexus between Pakistan military and terrorism. But it's important to remember here, India's strikes were surgical, not escalatory. Every missile hit its designated target, and the entire operation was wrapped up in 25 minutes. These are the details that matter. By making a clear distinction between counter-terrorism and full-scale military aggression, the Indian Armed Forces have demonstrated both strategic intent as well as operational maturity. The message is absolutely clear. India is rewriting the rules, and in doing so, it has avenged not just the attack, but a history of terror. And I earlier spoke to Lieutenant General D.S. Hooda, former Northern Army commander, someone who spearheaded the 2016 surgical strike across the LOC, and this is what he shared with us.
I think this is much larger in scale and scope than we have seen both in 2016 and 2019. By hitting targets particularly aimed at terrorist leadership, the Jaish in Muridke and the Jaish-e-Mohammed in Bahawalpur. I think the message that is going out is that, look, it's not only the sort of foot soldiers that you have that are going to get hit, but also the leadership which is planning these terrorist operations is also going to be hit. And the fact that, we have hit in Punjab across the international border, as I said, the fact that we've hit 9 camps, including the headquarters of LET and Jaish, this is a very, very powerful message that, major acts of terror will be responded to very, very strongly by. These were large terror infrastructure camps. So the launch pads are smaller, which are closer to the line of control. Yeah. But these were main terrorist camps, and I think you heard also in the briefing this morning that exactly what is the kind of activity that is happening in those terror camps, and how those have served as sort of launch pads for terrorist attacks in India. They've served as training hubs for terrorists. So I think the choice of targets has been based on really sort of critical terrorist infrastructure that exists both in Pakistan occupied Kashmir as well as in mainland Pakistan. From what we know, most of these targets have been hit by missiles from aircraft. And these are standoff long-distance missiles, so you don't really have to cross over into, Pakistani airspace or territory to carry out these attacks. So remaining on our side of the border, these targets have been struck and taken out. And we can sort of look at and see the accuracy of the target planning, the accuracy of the missiles by pictures that we have seen on how they have, pinpointedly struck the targets that they had planned. Particularly after we have received the Rafale aircraft that Along with them, we've got missiles which can carry out very, very precise strikes while remaining at a fairly sort of long standoff distance. You don't have to really go on top of the target to hit it. It can be done from distance. As I said, it was done from our side of the line of control and the international border. So these, as I said, are very, very precise weapons, and because they are so precise, it also avoids any kind of collateral damage, minimizes casualties to civilians. So you can just sort of pick out one house, one hut, and say, look, this is where we want to hit, and that's exactly where it goes and hits. So we have these precision systems available with us. What happens next is pretty much up to Pakistan. We have carried out the operation. The Foreign Secretary, in describing the operation today, has said, that we have tried to control escalation. It's a non-escalatory strike. It's targeted only at terror camps. We have not hit any Pakistan military. So from our side, what we wanted to do, what we set out to do, the kind of signal we wanted to send out has been sent. The ball is right now in Pakistan's court. Will they retaliate to what India has done? I think they would. I mean, they would also be under tremendous pressure to do something. And so we could expect a retaliation, whether it comes in 24, 48, 72 hours. Again, would be based on the plan that they make. How then India responds to their retaliation? I mean, these are things that, over the coming few days, we'll just have to figure out.
And as we continue to monitor the latest coming in, some breaking inputs coming in right here. Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs spokeswoman has reacted saying, and I'm quoting here now, "We are deeply concerned about the aggravation of military confrontation between India and Pakistan. We urge the parties involved to show restraint in order to prevent further deterioration in the region," quote unquote. That's the reaction coming in at this point. If you're just joining us, the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs spokeswoman, Maria Zakharova, putting out that statement. Let's go straight across now to Siddhant Sibal. Siddhant, what more can you share with us?
Well, it has been a packed day. We saw how there was a briefing earlier in the day in which India gave details about it targeting the terror camps in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Then thereafter, we saw the Indian External Affairs Minister speaking to many of his counterparts. The Indian NSA spoke to many of his counterparts. The Indian Foreign Secretary briefed the UNSC ambassadors here in Delhi. Out of 15, 13 were briefed. The Sierra Leone does not have an embassy here, so there was no representative from that country, and Pakistan, being the other non-permanent UNSC member, obviously will not be invited. But all in all, we know it has been a packed day, but it looks like that there could be more developments overnight or tomorrow morning, as there have been reports that Pakistan is mulling to react in the aftermath of India striking terror camps in Pakistan.
All right, we are leaving it there for the moment, Siddhant. Thanks very much for those updates. Of course, coming back to you as and when we have more. And as the dust settles on what happened today, the question on everyone's mind is the immediate question: what next? The answer to that might be found in today's developments. Several states in India are on high alert after Operation Sindoor. The Indian states of Punjab and Rajasthan shut schools in border districts. The state of Rajasthan, in fact, declared a state of high alert in the border areas. As a precaution, Bikaner and Jodhpur airports have been closed. Uttar Pradesh also issued red alert. A nationwide civil defense mock drill was conducted as planned to enhance emergency preparedness following the Pahalgam terror attack. The drill tested air raid warning systems, shelter readiness, evacuation procedures, security personnel, civil defense volunteers, emergency vehicles, fire engines were positioned strategically across various locations. Civil defense volunteers, including NCC cadets, home guards, students, participated in simulations to prepare for hostile situations. And after conducting the strike on the terror infrastructure in Pakistan with clinical precision, India said it had no intentions to escalate further but was prepared to retaliate resolutely should Pakistan decide to do so. This statement was made by the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval as he briefed several countries on India's actions in response to the terror attack in Pahalgam that left 26 innocent civilians dead. Cornered and exposed for harboring terrorists, Pakistan resorted to vague threats and misinformation online. Speaking to Bloomberg on Wednesday, Pakistan Defence Minister Khwaja Asif said that the Pakistan military is ready to refrain from further action. He said, and I'm quoting here, "If India chooses to step back, we are fully prepared to wind down this tension," quote unquote. But then this is Pakistan we are talking about. Right after Asif's statement was published, Pakistan authorized its military to take corresponding actions to India's strikes. The National Security Committee, in fact, chaired by Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, said that his country reserved the right to respond to India's airstrikes in self-defense at a time, place and manner of its choosing. India is prepared, but does Pakistan have the wherewithal for an escalation? That is the real question.
All the targets were neutralized with clinical efficacy.
The code name for India's retaliatory military action to the Pahalgam terror attack, Operation Sindoor. It's not just a name that headlined India's mission. It's a name heavy with symbolism, significance. It's bold, heroic, all at the same time. It is emotional as well, born out of pain and personal wounds of those bereaved women who lost their husbands to the hand of terror in that massacre. It's also no less than a war cry and India's stark message to the world that the women of India are fighting back. These chilling images are still fresh in the minds of many Indians. The terror attack in Pahalgam that shocked the entire country to the core, a loss that felt extremely personal to everyone, every Indian. And for those women, it has been about unspeakable grief. It's not just their spouses they lost to the terrorists who shot them at point-blank range. Within moments, a lone act of terror left them widowed. Among them, one was newly married, just a week before the gruesome incident took place. Needless to say, this ghastly act of terror had crossed all red lines. Speaking of red, in India, Sindoor or vermilion is worn by Hindu women as a symbol of marriage, one that solemnizes their bond with their husbands in a way. Red in color, a pinch of Sindoor powder, also distinguishes married women and is often donned as a symbol of pride and honor. It's also the very cornerstone of Hindu faith. In the Pahalgam terror attack, remember, the deceased men were asked whether they were Hindus or Muslims before being singled out and shot dead, while their wives and children watched in horror. The terrorists also asked them to go back and tell Prime Minister Modi, as they were tasked with the sinister task of conveying the message. It was not just an attack in isolation, but also against the country at large. So when Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi codenamed India's mission as Operation Sindoor, the message was loud and clear that women are at the forefront of India's staunch response to the barbarity of terrorism. It has been positioned as a fitting tribute to the distraught and grieving wives, whose voices have finally been heard. It came as a strong reassurance that they are not alone in this fight for justice. Sindoor, by the way, is also worn by warriors before they enter a battlefield. Therefore, Operation Sindoor by the Indian Army is symbolic of India's fire and fury, its grit as a country, in more ways than one. A gesture that, of course, has not gone unnoticed. The wives have responded. They hailed Operation Sindoor as a befitting reply to how the terrorists stripped them of their sindoor, as well as to those who challenge India. Listen to this.
जे हे नाव दिलंय त्याच्यासाठी मी त्यांचे आभार मानेल, कारण त्यांच्या सगळ्या लेकींचं सिंदूर त्या दहशतवाद्यांनी मिटवून टाकलेलं आणि आज त्यांनी तेच नाव दिलं. मला ते नाव वाचल्यानंतर अतिशय डोळ्यात पाणी आलं की त्यांना जाणीव आहे आमची.
तो बहुत धन्यवाद करती हूँ, उनसे बहुत थैंक यू कहती हूँ कि उन्होंने मेरे पति की मौत का बदला लिया है.
हाँ, भविष्य में भी ऐसा ना हो, इसलिए पाकिस्तान के जो लोग दुष्ट प्रवृत्ति के उनको ढूंढ के मारे और फिर उन्होंने पाकिस्तान में अपनी तरफ आँख उठा के भी नहीं देखना चाहिए, ऐसा करें.
However, the story of India's mission is incomplete without the mention of the two women officers who addressed the media on the operation. The two officers, Wing Commander Vyomika Singh and Colonel Sofia Qureshi, who India chose to front the press briefing alongside the Foreign Secretary. This is a significant moment for the country, one that is also indicative of its women power, both literally and symbolically, as they remain fully prepared to strike back should Pakistan plan a response anytime soon.
India has demonstrated considerable restraint in its response. However, it must be said that the Indian armed forces are fully prepared to respond to Pakistani misadventures, if any, that will escalate the situation.
Among the targets of Wednesday's Operation Sindoor was the Markaz Taiba Muridke complex, located some 18 to 25 kilometers from India's international border. In the Operation Sindoor press briefing, Colonel Sofia Qureshi said that this same compound bred terrorists responsible for the 2008 Mumbai terror attacks, including Ajmal Kasab and David Headley. Both men, she said, underwent training within this very facility.
मरकज ताइबा मुरीदके, यह आईबी से 18 से 25 किलोमीटर दूरी पर है. 2008 के मुंबई हमले के आतंकी भी यहीं से प्रशिक्षित हुए थे. अजमल कसब और डेविड हेडली भी यहाँ ट्रेन हुए थे.
And during the briefing, authorities showcased footage of the complex under direct assault. Indian forces executed at least 4 precise strikes on this strategic location, aiming to cripple its operational capacity. Markaz Taiba, located in the town of Muridke, is just around 40 kilometers from Pakistan's Lahore. It has functioned as the ideological epicenter and operational command of Lashkar-e-Taiba. In fact, the term Markaz means headquarters. The 82-acre compound has reportedly remained under the constant watch of Indian security agencies for its role in orchestrating cross-border attacks. It's a complex featuring madrasas, residential quarters, training grounds, recruitment centers. Indian intelligence estimates suggest that around 1,000 students enroll each year in its various programs, many of which are designed to radicalize and militarize young minds. Reports also said that the Markaz includes specialized institutions for male and female recruits, while high-ranking LET leaders regularly use the complex for advanced military and tactical training. Sources say Ajmal Kasab and his fellow operatives from the 26/11 attacks received training here under the watchful eye of Pakistan's intelligence service, the ISI. The site also allegedly has links to Al-Qaeda. Osama bin Laden himself is said to have contributed 10 million rupees for its establishment in 2000. Eyewitnesses said that they saw a wave of drones striking the complex, while others said the attack led to a lot of fear and panic.
रात को 12:45 का टाइम था तो हम सोए हुए थे.
It was 12:45 at night. We were sleeping when a drone came. It was right above us, just a little higher than usual. Then 3 more drones appeared. They were chasing. They were attacking. Everything was crushed.
मस्जिद के आगे एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव ऑफिस और उसके आगे मस्जिद की छत वो सारी तबाह हो गई.
Fear and terror spread in people. People had gone out into the fields in the open just like that. The night passed, but there was a lot of fear and panic.
So, by targeting Markaz Taiba, India did not just hit a physical structure, it struck at the ideological and strategic core of Lashkar-e-Taiba's terror machinery. And India's strikes in Pakistan were not only calibrated, they were clinical precision strikes. Highly impactful. No ordinary tools were used to do that. India's weapons of choice included some of the most lethal ones in its arsenal. We are talking about Scalp cruise missiles, Hammer precision guided bombs, and loitering munitions, all equipped on the Rafale fighter jets that were used to target the terror camps of Pakistan. Let's just take you through them one by one. The Scalp missile, also known as the Storm Shadow missile. It stands out as a weapon of choice for long-range precision strikes. With a range exceeding 250 kilometers, its design focuses on deep strike operations which allow for engagement of critical enemy infrastructure far beyond conventional reach. This capability not only enhances strategic flexibility, but it also minimizes the risk of collateral damage, as targets can be engaged from a safe distance. Needless to say, it is a formidable tool in India's weapons arsenal. And then we have the Hammer Smart Bomb. Hammer is short for Highly Agile Modular Munition Extended Range, also known as a glide bomb. Hammer is an all-weather air-to-ground precision-guided munition made by French company Safran. The bomb is capable of delivering high-accuracy strikes against both stationary as well as mobile targets. It is used to target reinforced bunkers and multi-story buildings used by terrorist organizations like LET and Jaish-e-Mohammed. With a striking range of over 70 kilometers, the Hammer is engineered for precision and effectiveness, ensuring that strategic commands as well as logistical hubs are neutralized with minimal disruption to surrounding areas. India's use of loitering munitions is also noteworthy. Loitering munitions, which are often referred to as kamikaze drones, serve dual purposes. Number 1, surveillance. Number 2, terminal strike capabilities. Basically, it hovers over the target, gathers intelligence, and then can either autonomously or through remote guidance eliminate the identified threats. This flexibility not only enhances battlefield awareness but also allows for on-the-fly decision-making in combat situations. It is what helped the Indian armed forces identify and destroy targets in Operation Sindoor. The coordinates were provided by intel agencies, which helped the Indian military carry out the strikes with clinical precision. These weapons are the reason why India was able to inflict a heavy blow to Pakistan's terror infrastructure by flattening Jaish and Lashkar camps. And we have been tracking reactions coming in as well. Leaders from around the world have reacted to India's strikes on terror camps in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, expressing concern over the escalation of tensions. They have urged New Delhi and Islamabad to exercise maximum restraint and diffuse the tensions through both dialogue and diplomacy. US President Donald Trump, in fact, was the first to react to India's strikes in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, saying that he could sense that something was soon coming up. Listen to what he said.
Heard about it. I guess people knew something was going to happen based on a little bit of the past. They've been fighting for a long time. You know, they've been fighting for many, many decades and centuries, actually, if you really think about it. No, I just hope it ends very quickly.
And US Secretary of State Marco Rubio voiced Trump's concerns regarding the matter. He said he was monitoring the situation closely and hopes for a peaceful resolution. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres expressed concern about the Indian strikes and called for maximum military restraint from both India and Pakistan. His officials said that the world cannot afford a military confrontation between both the countries in question. Listen to what he said.
Between India and Pakistan are at their highest in years. I deeply respect and I am profoundly grateful to the government of people of both countries and their significant contributions to the work of the United Nations, not least UN peacekeeping. And so it pains me to see relations reaching a boiling point.
And the UK also urged India and Pakistan to show restraint and engage in dialogue. China described India's military operations in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir as regrettable. It said it was concerned about the ongoing situation. Beijing urged New Delhi and Islamabad to remain calm and refrain from taking actions that may complicate the situation further. And Japan's chief cabinet secretary also expressed concern about the escalating tensions between India and Pakistan, stressing that the situation may lead to further retaliatory exchanges and escalate into a full-scale military conflict. Israel's ambassador to India backed New Delhi's right to self-defense. He also hailed India's Operation Sindur while reiterating that there is no place for terrorists to hide. The Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson expressed deep concern and urged both sides to exercise restraint. The French Foreign Minister also has called on India and Pakistan to show restraint and protect their civilians. The Qatari Prime Minister spoke to top officials from both India and Pakistan. In his statements, he said that he held separate phone calls with India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, as well as with the Pakistan Prime Minister, Shehbaz Sharif. The UAE has asked for India and Pakistan to exercise restraint, de-escalate tensions and avoid further escalation that could threaten regional and international peace. The Turkish Ministry of Foreign Affairs said it was following the developments with concern, warning that the overnight attacks raises the risk of an all-out war, quote unquote. The world is closely tracking each and every development. Pakistan has launched a fresh wave of reckless shelling and unprovoked firing across the border. The latest LOC violations for the 16th consecutive day started late at night and dragged on until early afternoon. With mortar bombs and artillery shells striking multiple areas near the LOC and the international border. At least 15 civilians have lost their lives, 43 were left injured. In Poonch, at least 8 individuals, including a woman and 2 children, were killed due to indiscriminate shelling by Pakistani forces. Poonch and Tangdar districts are among the worst affected, enduring relentless cross-border fire till early Wednesday afternoon. Injuries were also reported in the Uri sector of Baramulla district and in Rajouri district. The Indian Army said heavy firing was also reported in the Bhimber Gully area. In fact, and said it was responding to the Pakistani firing in a calibrated manner.
My family members were sleeping together when the shelling took place last night near our home. The first shelling happened at our home. We escaped, but we lost our house.
Meanwhile, civilian life has been thrown into disarray. Authorities have shut schools and colleges in Jammu, Samba, Kathua, Rajouri, Poonch district, citing severe security concerns. While flights from airports in Jammu, Srinagar and Leh have also been disrupted, with several airlines cancelling or diverting services.
All the flights are cancelled. The civilian airports are closed today in Amritsar, Dharamshala, Chandigarh and even Leh until further notice.
I was about to fly to Mumbai urgently, but when I got here, I found out that my flight had been cancelled.
One thing is clear at this point: Pakistan is rattled and in panic mode. And there is visual proof of a truth that Pakistan can no longer hide. As the world demands accountability for terror, the Pakistani army is seen standing shoulder to shoulder with terrorists. A funeral in Muridke and the presence of Pakistan army officers exposing the alliance between the Pakistan military and the Lashkar-e-Taiba. These are the images from Muridke, the headquarters of Lashkar-e-Taiba, where a funeral was underway for Lashkar cadres, and among those in attendance are uniformed officers of the Pakistan army, with Lashkar-e-Taiba leader Abdul Rauf, a terrorist India has long identified as part of Pakistan's deep state terror network. In fact, in today's briefing about Operation Sindoor, the Foreign Secretary of India clearly stated that despite a fortnight having passed since the attacks, there has been no demonstrable step from Pakistan to take action against the terrorist infrastructure on its territory.
Investigations into the Pahalgam terror attack have brought out the communication notes of terrorists in and to Pakistan. The claims made by the Resistance Front and their reposting by known social media handles of the Lashkar-e-Taiba speak for themselves. Identification of the attackers based on eyewitness accounts as well as other information available to law enforcement agencies has also progressed. Our intelligence has developed an accurate picture of the planners and backers of this team.
Hours after India avenged the Pahalgam terror attack, 2 women officers led the briefing, sharing details of the precision strikes on terror targets in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. The briefing on Operation Sindoor gave a strong and significant message as 2 women officers, Colonel Sophia Qureshi and Wing Commander Vyomika Singh, took the lead, along with the name Operation Sindoor, a tribute to the women who lost their husbands in the terror attack, like we said. The choice of women officers leading the briefing was also praised as a powerful symbolic move. A decorated officer of the Indian Army's Corps of Signals, Qureshi, at a relatively young age, made history for both women and the Indian Army. In March 2016, she became the first female officer to lead an army contingent at a multinational military exercise called Exercise Force 18. The exercise was one of the largest foreign military exercises ever hosted by India. A total of 18 contingents participated. and Lieutenant Colonel Qureshi was the only female officer to lead a contingent. But that's not all. Colonel Sophia Qureshi, who hails from Gujarat, served in the UN peacekeeping mission in Congo in 2006. She was selected from numerous peacekeeping trainers in the country for this role, and she has also been involved with peacekeeping operations since 2010. Let's now talk about Wing Commander Vyomika Singh, the Indian Air Force officer who ended the press conference and mentioned how ready India is if Pakistan's misadventures escalate the situation. She has played a key role in multiple rescue missions. In fact, one of the major missions she led was in Arunachal Pradesh in November 2020. These operations were conducted in high altitude, difficult weather conditions, remote locations where air support is crucial for saving lives. In fact, she is the first person in her family to join the armed forces. Not many would know, but Wing Commander Singh has logged more than 2,500 flying hours. She has operated helicopters like the Chetak and Cheetah in some of the toughest terrains, including Jammu and Kashmir and the Northeast. Earlier, security experts joined us to share their views on the impact of India's strikes on Pakistan's terror headquarters. Listen in to the perspectives that they shared with us.
That India's response to terrorism, cross-border terrorism emanating from Pakistan, has moved up notches progressively from 2001 to when there was no response, to 2016, when we crossed into Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and carried out surgical strikes by ground incursions. In 2019, we moved yet more one notch ahead, and we attacked the Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorist camp in Anakot, which is inside Pakistan, not Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. And this time, lo and behold, we have not only moved 3 notches, but several notches above, escalating our response considerably and targeting not only terrorism infrastructure in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, but in Pakistan across the international border, quite unprecedented.
I think the first and most important one was that we chose to be very specific in our response to that brutal attack on innocent civilians at Pahalgam. I think that was the most significant one because we have chosen to get at the terrorist camps and terrorist infrastructure.
That's correct. We are prepared. Look at our options. We have got options across domains: land, air, sea, space, EW, cyber. What you've seen so far is only 10%. Look at our instruments. We have 2 aircraft carriers. He has none. Nuclear-powered submarines. We have a nuclear triad. On the land, we have pivot cores, which have considerable offensive potential. We have strike cores, which have even greater offensive potential. Rafales 4.5 with the Astra. We have a superior set of weapons. So Pakistan simply has to see sense.
India has stepped up its diplomatic response to Pakistan following the Pahalgam attack. The Indian External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, to his counterparts from Japan, Germany, France, Spain, apprised about India's strikes on terror infrastructure in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. The Indian Foreign Secretary briefed 13 foreign envoys in Delhi. At the briefing, an envoy asked India about targeting a mosque in its strikes against terrorists. New Delhi pointed out that complex had a terror camp. Significantly, Vikram Misri stated that India had responded to a terrorist attack, while the Pakistani side has been engaged in escalation. He also mentioned in this regard the Pakistani efforts to shield the TRF. The Foreign Secretary underscored that India's response was targeted, measured, non-escalatory, and how the Pahalgam terror attack was a barbaric attack. India has made it clear that if Pakistan responds, India will respond. Diplomatic and military fault lines in Pakistan showing signs of deepening after the coordinated precision strikes by the Indian military. In Islamabad, the response is fractured. Defence Minister Khwaja Asif has extended a cautious message, indicating Pakistan's willingness to step back if India halts further operations. Speaking to a global news network, Asif said, and I'm quoting here, ready to refrain from further action if India halts its operations on the border. But this tone of restraint is in stark contrast to the hardened posture taken by Pakistan's National Security Committee. The NSC has condemned India's actions and asserted Pakistan's right to respond. They have also called on the international community to intervene. The tension now pivots on one critical decision maker, Pakistan's Chief of Army Staff. In fact, General Munir now stands at the center of a profound dilemma, whether to heed the call for de-escalation voiced by the civilian leadership or to align with the institutional rigidity of the NSC's position. His decision will not only define Pakistan's immediate course of action, but could also shape the stability of the region in the days to come. His silence is being watched closely in New Delhi, in Washington, in Beijing and beyond. And it's been more than 12 hours since India's Operation Sindoor, but the turbulence in the air in both India and Pakistan continues. Hours after the Indian Armed Forces launched Operation Sindoor, the commercial airspace has been heavily impacted. This is how the airspace looks. Airports are suspending operations, passenger flights are getting diverted. According to reports, at least 35 flights to and from the Delhi airport have been cancelled by various airlines, including foreign carriers. According to reports, 23 domestic departures, 8 arrivals were cancelled. Besides, 4 international departures have been cancelled since May 7 midnight. Airlines like Air India, Indigo, SpiceJet have issued their respective travel advisories. Indigo has cancelled 165 flights to and from Jammu, Leh, Chandigarh, Srinagar, Amritsar, Dharamshala, Bikaner, Jodhpur in its recent travel advisory. The largest passenger airline in India has also included Gwalior and Kishangarh to the list. The flights have been cancelled till May 10. And speaking of airports, Chandigarh and Amritsar airports have been closed until further notice. While not specifying which flights, Delhi airport shared a travel advisory for the passengers, but the turbulence is not only restricted to North India. The fallout from India's early morning military strikes under Operation Sindoor in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir was felt in Hyderabad with the cancellation of some flights to and from the Rajiv Gandhi International Airport. Meanwhile, flight operations have resumed at major airports in Pakistan, including those in Lahore, Karachi, Islamabad, following an 8-hour suspension triggered by the escalating tensions with India. The suspension, which was implemented after India's missile strikes, has gradually lifted as airports return to normal operations. And in a rare display of political unity, opposition parties across India have rallied behind the Indian Army strikes on terror camps in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. The principal opposition party, Indian National Congress, extended unequivocal support to the armed forces. Listen in.
Working committee में हमारा discussion हुआ, पूरा समर्थन, full support to our forces, best wishes to them, much love to them, complete support from the Congress party and the Congress working committee.
The Congress president also said that he is proud of the security forces that gave a befitting reply to Pakistan.
हम पूरी अपनी ताकत हमारे सैनिकों को देंगे, देश के रक्षा के लिए, देश में एकता रखने के लिए, हमारी आज़ादी महफूज रखने के लिए हम पूरा समर्थन दे रहे हैं। और जो इस मुद्दे पे कोई भेदभाव नहीं है, एकजुट होकर हम कर रहे हैं।
And Uddhav Thackeray's Shiv Sena faction also backed the army, praising the soldiers' courage. Party official handle on X posted, "Salute to the bravery of Indian soldiers." The Aam Aadmi Party also expressed full support for the armed forces and lauded the success of Operation Sindoor. In a major escalation of tensions, India launched Operation Sindoor in the early hours of May 7, targeting 9 terror infrastructure sites across Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. And despite the high-stakes development, Indian financial markets remained largely stable. The BSE Sensex opened 0.86% lower and the Nifty 50 fell 0.6%, but both indices quickly in fact indicated resilient investor sentiment. Defense and aerospace stocks surged on expectations of increased government spending. Hindustan Aeronautics, Bharat Dynamics, Mazagon Dock rose between 1.3% and 4% intraday. Sectoral indices like auto, FMCG, pharma remained positive, while realty, metal, energy opened lower. The Indian rupee and bond yields held steady, reflecting market confidence that the situation remains under control and will not disrupt long-term fundamentals. In sharp contrast, Pakistan's stock market faced a heavy sell-off. The KSE 100 index dropped over 2%, falling below 70,100 points. Losses were widespread, hitting banking, cement, energy, telecom stocks. With inflation high, foreign reserves low, and IMF conditions ongoing, Pakistan's economic resilience appeared weak. The Pakistan rupee also came under pressure amid growing concerns of further escalation as cross-border shelling resumed and diplomatic rhetoric intensified. Global observers remained on edge, watching out for signs of either resolution or renewed conflict. And the US dollar is under pressure as investors brace for a key Federal Reserve decision this week. With global markets on edge, trade tensions lingering, all eyes are on what the Fed chair says next and what it could actually mean for the world's biggest assets. The stakes are massive for just about everyone. Here's a look at how that decision might affect you.
The US dollar started the week under pressure, with the dollar index slipping amid rising uncertainty surrounding US-China trade dynamics and growing anticipation ahead of the Federal Reserve's policy meeting on Wednesday. Despite stronger than expected US non-farm payrolls data, in April and elevated consumer inflation expectations, markets are closely watching for signals from the Fed about the future rate path. The Fed is widely expected to hold rates steady. However, investor attention is sharply focused on the tone of the policy statement and Fed Chair Jerome Powell's press conference. Markets are seeking clarity on whether the Fed will maintain its current stance or pivot in response to economic indicators and external pressures, including trade disruptions from Trump's tariffs. A more hawkish Fed could strengthen the dollar and pressure equities and emerging markets. In contrast, a dovish tone could support risk assets, weaken the dollar further, and bolster demand for gold and other safe haven plays. Trump's trade rhetoric and the lack of direct communication with China's leadership only heighten investor anxiety. But any escalation or breakthrough could quickly shift global sentiment. For now, all eyes remain on the Fed. Its stance will likely set the tone for global asset performance heading into the next quarter. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
And shifting focus for now, Indian cricket team skipper Rohit Sharma decided to drop the mic. Sharma has called time on his test career. Effective immediately, the Indian team will now need to appoint a new full-time captain soon after IPL 2025. Taking to social media platform Instagram, Sharma said, and I'm quoting here, "Hello everyone, I would just like to share that I am retiring from Test cricket. It's been an absolute honor to represent my country in whites. Thank you for all the love and support over the years. I will continue to represent India in the ODI format," quote unquote. And the announcement comes after reports surfaced that the 38-year-old would be removed as captain for the Test series in England this summer. Pressure had been mounting on Sharma following a string of disappointing results, a poor home series against New Zealand and a forgettable tour of Australia. While India won both tests against Bangladesh, they were whitewashed 3-0 by New Zealand under Rohit's captaincy. India also lost the Border Gavaskar Trophy 1-3 in Australia, where Rohit endured a rough patch, averaging just 10.93 across 8 tests and managing only 1 half-century. In fact, Sharma brings the curtain down on an 11-year Test career, having represented India in 67 matches and leading the side in 24 of them after taking over from Virat Kohli in 2022. He finishes with 4,301 runs, including 12 centuries. His highest score was 212 against South Africa in Ranchi in 2019. Scored off just 255 balls. The 38-year-old had made only 150 in 15 innings since his last Test 103 against England in Dharamshala in March 2024. Rohit will now only play the ODI format for India. He had already called time on his T20I career after leading India to the men's T20 World Cup title in 2024. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas Tonight. This is me, Molly Gambhir, signing off. Thanks very much for watching.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Catch me at Token Money Magnet, only on WION.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an